So I'll be ready for all the jump scares.
You know what's Firebase?
All right, guys, hold on for a second.
Sorry.
All right, so we started the video late. But if you're watching the video, we set up a new project. We created a package JSON by running npm init inside of the terminal. So in the terminal, we created a folder to house the project. We did npm init, enter. It'll ask you a few questions. Go through and answer those questions. And we did a git init, which will set up the Git repository. And then after you initialize the Git repository, you need to create a Git repository on GitHub and then do git remote add origin and then paste in your GitHub URL for that repo. It'll be https:// GitHub and then your username and then your repo name. Okay, so it'll be something along those lines. That will set the remote. Then you should be able to add and commit to GitHub. We created a quick README. Created the git ignore. It looks like that. You can pause it and copy that. And then we npm installed these dependencies. So npm install -- save, and then each of these dependencies separated by a space. Once those complete, you can install the dev dependencies by doing npm install -- save -dev, which looks like npm install -- save -dev. And then the two we did was node mon and npm -run -all. And that'll be after installing all the other dependencies. Yeah, I mean, the order doesn't really matter, but do one and then do the other. Once all that's done, you should have your dependencies list that looks like that, and then dev dependencies that looks like that. And then where we realized we weren't recording a video was creating this file, and this is where we're at now. Cool.
I got you guys.
You got you guys. Oh, you're just talking to whoever's watching the video. Don't believe Shri. All right, so we got express, chords, resolve, we got a port. That should be enough to get us going. So we'll do const app equals express. And then we'll do app.use cores. Course is a function, so we'll make sure to call that. App.use express URL encoded. And then I think we wanted this is when we do extended. Cores is for cross-origin stuff, especially when we're testing. Ideally, you'll want to disable this if it was put onto a real server, unless you want an open API. Then you could set this to be used on specific routes. If we have time, we could get into that a little bit more down the road. But for now, we're just making everything just open so we don't have any issues with our front end communicating with our back end. And then we'll do app.use express JSON.
What does the URL encoded extended pass do?
It has to do with how it encodes stuff in the URL.
Cool.
Yeah, it has to do with like post requests. I don't know if it's just post requests. I looked it up a long time ago. And I used to know how to explain it, but I don't really remember.
Read the name.
I know it fixes stuff.
Cool.
And then JSON is for sending JSON in your post requests and stuff like that. That makes that work properly. You used to have to install a third-party library called Body Parser to do these two things. But they finally, because every time you installed Express, you just installed Body Parser with it. So they just incorporated it into Express. So if you ever see someone that npm installs Body Parser and then does Body Parser.url encoded, it's either an older video or you shouldn't be watching their video because they don't know what they're doing. But it might just be an older video too, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And then we'll want to do a little setup for our front end. So we'll say app.use, and then we'll say express.static. So we're telling Express to serve a specific folder statically. It doesn't exist yet, but we'll actually let's wait on this. Comment that out for now, because I think if the folder doesn't exist, it'll throw an error if we try and run it. We'll make an initial, just a quick app.get / request response. Then we'll do, so this is routing for the backend. So whenever it gets a route request to just /, which would just be your web domain, or for testing, it'll be localhost 9000. When it gets a request just to the root directory, this is the function it's going to run. And you can have it do anything. It's just a function like JavaScript. Right now, we just want it to send some data back. So this is the request object. This is all the information about the request. And then the second argument we get passed to us is the response object, which gives us the ability to send a response and interact with what the response is going to be. So for just right now, we're just going to say response.send, and we're just going to send a string back. And we could put an H1 in here. And we could say server running. And we're excited about it. All right, and then finally we have to tell our server to listen. So it's only that easy to get kids to listen. And then what port to run on, we set the port up from the top. And then that gets a little callback. If you ever see people putting like an error right here and doing like if error do something, that is 100% inaccurate. This does not give you an error. Okay, so if you ever see that, that is not correct, and I see it all the time. So here we'll just do a console.log, and we'll say server running on port. And then we could add our port in there so we can see what port number our server is running on. If you do want to do error handling, you could chain a .on onto this, and then you do on error, and that will take a callback that will get the error. Usually, if you get a listen error, console.log listen error. Already have a server running on port plus. So this is that error you guys got a lot with like the React stuff, and you'd start it and you'd say, my npm started, all these errors threw up, and I'd walk over and say, it's because you already have a server running. I think pretty much every one of you did it at least once.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a way to give a more descriptive feedback. I'm actually going to update the React starter to give this feedback. I just haven't done it yet. But because usually the listen error is not 100% of the time, but like 99% of the time, if you get a listen error, it's because of the you already have something running on that port. All right, so that gives us enough that we can, test it. So make sure you save everything. And then we could go to our terminal and we could do node index.js. And then you should see your console log.
So doing node index.js is just running it on the terminal without having the server set up, or
We just built the server.
okay.
Node just uses Node to run the file. Node is just a scripting language.
But we wouldn't be able to like go to localhost.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, we can.
Yeah, we should be able to see, if we go to localhost 9000, we should see our H1. So
You'd have to do npm starter.
that's what the node, that's what that did. Yeah. That's what npm start actually runs that command.
Okay. That's good to know.
So localhost 9000, and then you should see your H1 show up.
Yep. There.
Sasha, you get it? I don't know.
So there's no benefit to doing node index.js. You can just write npm start.
We cannot do npm start yet. We're going to set it up so we can.
iShop.
How about your partner, man? How about your partner?
Custom lighting.
So that's what it is. That is being close. Close error.
Full circle. Tilt it all the way back. 360 tilt. Still twisted.
What are your errors?
On
On H1? Oh, you have H1 in books?
Have you played it all recently?
Not too much.
It's not JSX. It has to be a string.
And then the whole H1
Sometimes
it sends it as a string.
Oh, yeah.
So everything inside of it plays.
Yeah.
Then you have to stop and restart the server.
I don't think the server ever started.
Oh, it never started. Gotcha.
There you go.
Got it?
I don't know.
There you go. You're a back-end developer now.
What's that?
Scotland knows.
We're all full stack developers. Full stack, so all the pancakes.
All the pancakes.
Responses on the client.
Front end, back end, all the.
Can you check all the code?
Left end, right end.
Are you guys?
So remember, guys, so Sasha, if it's saying response is not defined, it's whatever you name your parameter here is what you're going to use here. Because this is just a function. So you got to make sure these two things match.
Like Eggo waffles.
This has to match this.
Yeah, it matches now.
That sounds really good.
So good.
My terminal is stuck on.
So if you change something, you have to stop the server and restart it. So you have to hit Control C and then restart the server. We're going to fix it so you don't have to do that, but right now you do.
npm start, not start.
Node index.js.
Take this off. Go up. Server. Yeah, it's working. Okay, cool.
Cool. That one's good?
Yeah.
All right. So we have our very basic node setup going. So what we'll do now is we'll set up our front end. So in order to do that, we'll go to our terminal. You can stop your server, Control C. I'll go ahead and do as good many green dots as we can. So we'll do git add.
Oh heck yeah!
Past few days of the week for me.
And we'll say setup initial express server.
Does it matter how many lines of code?
You could change one letter in a README and it still counts as a commit. Or you could change 9,000 lines of code and it still counts as one commit.
I'm gonna have 10 commits a day.
Just remember, if you have too many and someone looks into it, then you're just gonna look like a jackass.
Spelled your name every day.
Yeah. All right, and then we are going to make sure you're in our iShop, our root directory. So it should be in the iShop folder. We're going to do git. What? You're talking about?
We're in master, or no, we're in sorry, not master.
We're in setup branch. Yeah. And we're going to do.
We're not pushing. We're just committing.
No, we're gonna push right now.
I wasn't going to push, but you can if you want. We're going to push in a minute. You can do commits. You can do a bunch of different commits and then push all of them at the same time.
But all those different commits don't count as like different.
Yes, I do. The commits are what count. The pushing is you're just pushing all the updates to the remote server. A commit's a commit no matter where it's done or when it's pushed.
But if you're not gonna match it,
I tried that where I just committed and it didn't show up on my.
because you have to match
Until it's merged into master, it doesn't show up.
what they are, or dev or master until it's merged.
It depends on whatever the primary branch of the repo is. Your commits have to be merged to that branch for them to count.
I see. So if you have like 3 commits and then merge to master, then you have 3 commits on your.
Well, you'll get like 5 for the merge and everything.
Okay.
If you did the merge, all that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do git clone htt ps://learning-fuse/starter.git, and then we're gonna do a space and do client.
Hey, Scott, is there a problem with your bundle.js file in React Starter? Like I ran into this huge issue with routing because there was a dot in front of like /bundle.
Just because someone put it there, it shouldn't be there.
Oh wow, so that wasn't from you.
I don't think so.
Yeah, dude, I'm just fucking with you. I'm just trying to like delay.
We can look at it right now. No, because it's not supposed to be
No,
there.
yeah, I fully fixed it, but I was like 3 days in the wall.
Yeah,
A monkey with a hammer.
I'm pretty sure it's not there. If it's there, then I don't know where it came from.
Okay, then yeah, it was
Because it's not supposed to be there.
So you're doing that
Don't look at
git
you.
clone just on the root folder, the iShop?
Mhm.
Okay.
Everybody good? Type on the URL if it says repository not found. Yeah, see, dude. Look at. Notice none of them have a dot in front of them
So why would someone put a dot in front of?
because people fuck with stuff that they don't know what they're doing all the time.
Maybe they deleted it on accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might. Someone might have moved it or messed with it and just thought that it needed the dot. Because if you don't understand how this actually works, it looks like it should. You could use a dot. It looks like you should use a dot. The problem becomes when you're doing routing. If you do // with routing, it adds that onto the end of the URL, where it actually needs to be from the root of the directory always, no matter what the route is. It always needs to be at the very first thing, so it has to start with /. Because the dist folder becomes your root folder on your server.
That was so hard to debug.
Oh yeah, dude, I ran it when I first started doing this. I ran into that multiple times.
Yeah.
But now, when that happens, now you know.
Now you know, dude, and you'll never forget it.
Honestly.
Yeah, I fixed it on someone else. I don't remember whose it was, but I fixed someone's because someone had done that. And even at that time, I was like, well, why'd you guys change it?
Problem. You never ask for the help.
Wow.
Because yeah, one of the other final project groups changed theirs too. Why are you guys changing shit?
Yeah, that's weird that people do that.
Happens all the time. All right, it's lunchtime, guys. So let's just go ahead and do one more add commit. We'll do git add. Oh, wait, hold on. Don't do git add. Don't do git add. We're gonna do cd into client, and then we're gonna do rm-rf.git. We want to delete the git folder from client. Now make sure you are in the client folder. So cd into client, and then rm-rf.git.
I thought that wipes the computer.
Yeah, if you just do rm-rf /.
Oh.
But not always you can. You not always have that permission to swipe your computer. So that's
No, it doesn't let you.
if you sudo. If you even do sudo, sometimes you're not gonna do
No, it won't let you run
You
that
have to be
command.
root. When
I
you
see.
root.
It still won't let you run that command.
Really?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I tried it on an AWS server, no one let me do it.
How do you run that command?
Huh?
But you can swipe with
You can.
Don't
I mean, no. It asks you to confirm. It says, hey, you're gonna wipe the hard drive.
So
Are you sure?
You can't just accidentally type it.
Yeah.
And flips your phone.
Dude, that's when you quit a job you hate.
No. You didn't do that.
Okay, you know, like if you still plan
You'll
on
get,
working
like,
ever again in your
Yeah.
life.
You don't want to do
It's gonna
it.
burn all the bridges.
You're gonna go to someone else, for work, and probably.
Yeah, dude, word of that would get around so fucking quick, you would never get a job again.
You don't wanna.
I'll see you.
I'll
I'll see you there.
All right, so now we're on cd back out of the client folder. Now we should be able to do git add git status. Cool. And then git commit -m.
We have to come back into previous, right?
Added React starter. Project
Client files.
for
We only got one. Normal?
when you commit, you'll get a whole. I mean, you have a bunch.
You
Mine's
have one
just
folder,
specifying the
you
folder.
have so many,
Yeah. There's tons of files in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, 17 files changed.
Me too.
And what do you have to meet?
Mine might have got jacked up because of the stupid.
Oh, so we can see that.
Yeah. I'm gonna jack mine up.
Did you push? Scott?
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just checking mine now.
When I check my status,
How do I
all
undo
show
that?
is like a dot
What
slash.
happened? We probably had to do something too.
Hmm?
We have to do something too. or-
No, you guys are fine. It's just because I did git add before I removed that git folder.
But you can create another. You don't have to merge, right? You can delete that branch, and you can create another branch, and then merge. Right?
Or you can just pull trees code.
I can have it.
Repo.
Or I can just do everything sort of like it.
Watch this video. I didn't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a push. I just tried to
You can, it doesn't really matter.
merge. Okay.
Don't merge it yet because we're not done on this branch, but you can push it if you want.
It's status.
There we go.
I think I did the same.
If you did
Shame.
For shame, for shame. All right, so we'll pick this video up in part 2, and we'll continue about 2:40, 3 o'clock-ish. And we'll go for,
You say 3?
No. Oh yeah, good.
everything.
The world doesn't revolve.
We could do like 3.
Yeah. You were wrong.
Do you know about when we'll go to?
We'll probably only do about another hour or 2 at the most today.
Okay.
Because there's like a ton of shit that I'm not doing that I should be doing right now.